Well, it's all about research. Research about, for instance, if you have a specific, let's take for instance all the work that I've done on the Captain Vancouver story. I think that's a good example. Of course, your first thing you have to do is read about the stories. So you're doing that side of the research. Then you pick out the significant stories. And the next thing is to go to the place where that significant story happened. And for that reason, of course, on our own boat, we've been up and down the coast many, many times, sometimes sitting for several days in a spot where Captain Vancouver there was a significant story. And then I'm doing sketches. I'm trying to put my mind back 200 years to the day when he was there. And trying to think what he would have seen, because sometimes the coast is exactly the way he saw it. In other places, there are changes. And so you've got to try and visualize, take those changes away and try and visualize what it would have been like at the time that Vancouver was here. And the next thing is now you've got to do all the work on the ships, the boats, the clothing. Even there was one commission that I had a few years ago in Menzies Bay. Well, we went to Menzies Bay. I anchored the vessel in the exact spot where Vancouver anchored. I even managed to research the state of the moon, because it was going to be a moonlight painting. I managed to find out the state of the moon on the night that Vancouver was there. So this is the type of stuff that you can then now, and I'm sitting there actually on the same day of the year that he was there. So I was able to put the stars in all the right, some of the stars, significant stars and planets in the right position. So, and then when it comes to the ships themselves, I've got drawings of the ships, I've got the lines of the ships, and because of my architectural training, I can take those lines, I can put them into 3D without the use of a computer, and I can put. And I've got books on all the rigging for the day, so I know exactly how the rigging is, because it's very technical accuracy is very, very important. I go back to the day when first time I had a painting exhibited at the Royal Society of Marine Artists in London, which was a great honour. And I was talking to the then president of the Royal Society, and I said he was looking at my painting, and I said, "So I would love to know," I said, "what is it you're looking for when you jury paintings into this exhibition?" And he was very curt about it. He said, "Properly painted and technically accurate." And I took that immediately as a lesson. And I remember actually having a lunch with a gentleman here in Vancouver. He'd invited me to lunch into his plant, and we were sitting in the ballroom having lunch, and he had a print on the back wall done by Montague Dawson, a great marine artist, British marine artist, who incidentally lived very close to me, unbeknown to me at the time. And he said, I've looked at that. He was a Cape Horner. He'd sailed tall ships around the Cape Horn. And he said, that Dawson, he said, he sure knew his ships. He said, I've studied that painting many, many times. He said, there isn't one rope going through a wrong block. And I immediately took that as a lesson. Here is a collector. He knows ships. And if you make a mistake, it's going to resonate with him. Okay? And I remember an artist, another well-known marine artist who he had one of his paintings had sold here in Vancouver, and a few years later the owner of the painting bought it back. It came into the gallery, and he said to the owner, I was having a dinner party last night at my house, and there was my guest. He said he was looking at this painting. He said he found out there was a mistake on it. He said, oh, that's terrible. What was the mistake? He said, well, you know the bowsprit on this clipper ship? He said, all the bobstays underneath, he said, they're not there, they're missing. Oh, he said, that's terrible. I tell you what, he said, you bring me the painting back. He said, and I'll get Mr. So-and-so to correct it. He said, no. He said, I don't want him to correct it. I want him to write a letter to me admitting that he'd made a mistake on my painting. You know, this sort of thing can happen. And so, properly painted, technically accurate.